Today I'm going to show you how to safely disassemble the PlayStation 4 Pro and how to clean/repaste the CPU the proper way. Hey, how you doing? Tori is here. So the first thing we're gonna do is to flip the PlayStation upside down and remove this plastic cover. After that we can remove this screw using a Phillips head screwdriver, and this will gives us the chance to remove the hard drive. Once that's done, there will be a warranty label that unfortunately we have to remove. But if you are watching this video, then I'm sure you are no longer worrying about such frivolous things as warranty. Anyhow, to remove the screws under the label, I am using the Torx T8 screwdriver. There's also another label on the other side, however mine had no screw underneath that. But I know some models will have it there, so keep an eye out for that. Moving on to remove the cover. If you need to, just use two hands on the corners. If this is your first time taking it apart, then it will probably give you some challenge. Now the way I'm trying to remove it is by using this plastic pick and trying to lift it away first and then push it forward. And then we will be faced with the guts of the PlayStation. After removing the tremendous amount of screws, trust me, there were just too many, I will disconnect the antenna cables and then I will flip the console around again and start removing the other cover. Again, don't be afraid to use a bit more force, as this is going to be difficult for the first time. For the top cover, I go from the front corners, trying to lift it up again and then pushing it back. Once that's done, I will start removing the power supply unit. There are a couple of screws holding it down, and for some curious reason this shiny, wobbly thing. Anyhow, need to be careful not to yank the power supply out, as it is still attached by a cable. I used some pliers to remove this cable. You will probably struggle with this one, because if it's the first time you're removing it, it is bloody hard to remove it. I took my time as no one is rushing me and I was careful not to damage anything. Right, it is time to remove the motherboard. For that we can just simply lift up the metal shield, and after that we can remove these clamps that are holding the heatsink. As you can see, there are some thermal pads on the memory chips. Just make sure that when you put it all back together, those are still there. And now we can remove the ribbon cables, such as the DVD player, the front lights, the front buttons, and last but not least, the cooler fan. And with that I am able to lift the motherboard out, trying to hold it by the edges and being gentle, because this can bruise like a peach. The old thermal paste on the CPU was actually not that bad, but I decided to repaste it anyway since I'm already this far in this process. Using some isopropyl alcohol makes it a lot easier to do this part, so if you have some, then just use it. After that we can apply the new and perfect amount of thermal paste. There are two methods I recommend, but this is really up to you. One is the squeeze it and leave it, and the other one is the one that I'm doing as well, the squeeze it and spread it. However, with the last one I need to be extra vigilant to spread it evenly. Now that it's done, we move to the cleaning part. I know, exciting, but hey, it gotta be done. After removing a couple of more screws, I can lift the other side of the metal shield out, and this one has the heatsink attached to it. Luckily my PlayStation is in quite good condition, but trust me, I have seen some really nasty ones, the one that looked like a science project gone wrong or something. If in case we need to replace the DVD player, we can do so by removing the short screws and the one long one in the middle, and then carefully lifting it out from the side. There will be some moving parts under it when we lift it up, so again, steady hands. And now that is out of the way, I can start wiping everything down, removing as much dust as possible. I'm also making sure that the fan and the heatsink is cleaned properly before reassembling the whole thing. Now to reassemble the PlayStation, you could just click and follow the video back. However, there are some tricks involved that I will talk about later that hopefully will help you out as well in case you are stuck. Once the motherboard is placed back, I will put the clamps back with the screws so that the heatsink makes contact with the thermal paste. One advice to follow here is to not to over tighten the screws and go bit by bit on each side so that we put even pressure on all sides. After that we can reattach the ribbon cables and the fan cable. I am actually trying to hold these cables by the little blue plastic so there is even less chance for damage. We can now also reattach the power supply cable and place it back to its place with the wibbly wobbly thing. Few more things to put back, such as the metal shield, the antenna cables and the 101 screws. Just kidding, I don't actually know how many, but there's a lot. One tip to remember here is that if you don't know which screw goes where, just put the Phillips head screws where you see metal and put the Torx ones where you see plastic. Last but not least, to put back the top cover, I try to start from the back, pushing it down somewhat and pulling it forward. After that, I just make sure that all the sides snapped into their places. And with the bottom cover it's a similar thing, but only it's the other way around, so I start from the front, pushing it down and pulling it back. Also making sure that all the sides are where they should be. And that's that. A couple of things left, such as putting back the hard drive in case we actually want to download some games and play, but other than that we are pretty much done. It is quite simple once you get the hang of it and got the proper tools for the job. Looking after your stuff and maintaining it gives it a longer lifespan, and that means you can enjoy it for longer. So if you want to enjoy PlayStation Now games on this bad boy, check out my video where I show you how to set up and play games from a library that has hundreds and hundreds of games.